All righty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing, episode 33, 4, 5, I think 5. Or we're doing it for a while, Mr. Robert Cole, who is...
You're keeping count. I'm not.
Yes, but you've been stalwart in keeping conversation and always being a participant, which I genuinely, truly love. If not, then a lot of people would just hear me talk to myself. And even though there's a lot of little voices in there, they might get bored with the conversation if they're not participating. Oh, see?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Well, that, of course, was housekeeping coming in with the Do Not Disturb sign out.
With the D&D on. How interesting that they just don't want to play nice with D&Ds. Wow.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Am I live on this? I can't quite see for it, but we have... my mother-in-law. Hi, Clara. How are you? My mother-in-law joined us today. Let's see. We are live there. I'm going to share it over. And that way it'll be on the Hospitality Digital Marketing Facebook page as well. Anyway, as always, we spend at least 30 minutes. We have been spending a little bit more recently on topics and tools and techniques associated with hospitality digital marketing. We have had a large number of guests over the period of time. Which has been nice. We've had some nice entrants. People that have joined us via Facebook Live or on Blab directly. I'd love to see if we can transfer them over to Blab directly because I'd love to get their dialogue. I'd love for them to join in on the conversation a little bit. We had a few that have joined us, and that's been nice. But I'd like to think that we can get a little bit more. Topics today. Actually, there's a couple. I know that normally you throw out some great news things, so I didn't put too many news things in the hopes that you would...
Certainly not great for video. The other thing that it covers is the health club. I might as well just rant on my friends at MGM Let's get off topic for a second while I'm on my rant. It also covers the health club. So my wife dragged me down there kicking and screaming to go get some exercise, even though we walked 11 miles the other day. But yeah, so I'm down there. What do they have? All the connectors off of all of their equipment are the old Apple 30-pin dock, right? That went out with the iPhone 4, discontinued in 2014. And considering most people in the U.S. are on 2-year plans where they flip over their phones, I don't know how many iPhone 4s are still around. And you're sitting here going, wait, you're charging $33.60 a day mandatory fee on every room that's sold in this 3,000 room property that is probably running in the high 80s, low 90s thing. That's a lot of revenue, and it's not getting rolled back into the equipment and health club. It's not getting rolled into the internet service.
It's probably covering for the bleed off on other cost departments that can't justify their existence.
And all I know is the National Association of Attorney Generals are having a discussion about it next month. So on the resort fee topic,
I'm a huge anti-resort fee. To me, it's an embarrassment to our industry that we think that our guests are not going to go over. It's like walking into a gas station and saying, "Wow, you're 20 cents less than the gas station across the way." Oh yeah, but you have to pay $1 to have the pump handle to pump the gas. It's kind of like, wait a minute, just tell me the price to purchase the product without saying. But then there's the resort fee, and then remember the fuel. Remember when fuel was so expensive that hotels were trying to charge a fuel fee?
Yes. Energy surcharge. Yes.
Oh my God, that drove me crazy. Anyway, all right. So we talked about citation work. At the bottom line of it is that it's critically important. It's not to be ignored. People can hijack your citation work and act as you and bleed money from you, either from trying to attempt to be an affiliate or downright stealing money, as we've made as an example of it. There are services out there like Yext. There's also services like Moz Local that will help you identify where you're showing up and how you're showing up for your name.
And I'm a huge Moz fan.
Yeah.
Moz is a Rand Fishkin disciple.
I have to agree with you on that one. So from a tools point of view, the link that you see in the lower window, the link that you see in our chat line, that is the link you want to go to. It's a step-by-step process as to what you need to do for your citation work, and to make sure that you handle it at your earliest convenience if you don't already have your agency, or bring it to your agency so they can validate.
One of the most important things for hotels, especially if you're a larger property, is to make sure that for your driving directions and maps and things like that, it comes into the actual entrance of your hotel. So the driving directions don't send you back to a loading dock or a side, or whatever. It sends you to where you want the guest to come in, and especially if it's a large site and it's not mapped out in the port kosher, you want to get them to the right street, the right entrance, and to get in and have that mapped out. And if you're a large property, make sure Google maps that, even if you have interior roads on your site. Very, very important.
That's what some hotels begin to realize, is that they don't exist in a real world map. A lot of these, and I cite Orlando as a very specific example. A lot of locations were made on ancillary project developments where there was a tract of land that was created and then parsed out with its own private roads. And even though they named those roads like such and such circle and this, those aren't legitimate actual streets. They're development designations. And so you have an address that actually puts a pin on a road that's adjacent to you and may not even have as an entrance to you. It might be the backside of your hotel, because that's where the address on the plot map of the city has it, but it isn't a legitimate address as to the actual entrance of your hotel. And so these are little things that quirk out. I mean, I had a hotel that was in Hollywood, Florida, that was in a business designation. There was a business designation in the Panhandle of Florida that was called Hollywood Beach, because there's no real Hollywood Beach, Florida. It's not a city designation. So calling Hollywood Beach Marriott, it was putting it up in the Panhandle. And it took forever to get that thing fixed through WebEx. But anyway, another story than that.
No, and here, I mean, at the Monte Carlo in Vegas, it backs onto Frank Sinatra Drive, which you can get in and out really easy because you aren't tied up on the strip where the traffic is a complete nightmare. And it's great. The driving directions send you right in, goes out, and all the little interior roads are mapped out, even though they aren't official roads. And huge time. I mean, saving people 10, 15 minutes, and that whole aggravation of, I've just lasted through all this traffic to kind of get through there just makes it go away. It's very, very important from a guest experience perspective.
Yep, very much so, because people are relying, especially with mobile, more just going to their GPS function on their phone, be like, hey, I need to go to such and such. And if your information isn't correct, they're going to be really pissed they got driven into an area that isn't where they wanted to go. I threw another link in. I tried to drop it in the other seat. Unfortunately, there's an audio component to it that Blab is not saying that they are willing right now to put links in that have audio components to it. But it's a discussion on the topic number 2 of tools that I wanted to throw in. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this because there's just a lot of moving pieces to it that are new and yet to be defined. And that is Snapchat just rolled out Snapchat 2. And I had hoped Ed would have been with us today because he's a big Snapchat fan like I am. And the interesting element about this link, for those who, like I said, are either watching it live or recorded, is that Snapchat now has messaging capability, live videography, much like you're seeing here. Much for the people that are watching us on Facebook Live are watching for it as well. I'm very proud of the fact that you now are seeing Facebook Live get creeping into a lot more other people doing it. I watched the Today Show this morning, and they did their first Facebook Live broadcast on their own Facebook Live broadcast booth. Now, we don't measure to them because they had 27,000 live followers. But nice to know that we here on our simple blab of This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing,
we're doing it first.
It first. We may not have the biggest audience, but we've been doing it for weeks now, and it's there. So, man. So, anyway, the Snapchat 2 is going into the same realm. It's doing messaging now. It's doing video now, doing live video now. It's turning into a Skype-esque. Skype used to be, and it's like Xerox or Kleenex. It's the way, I'm going to Skype you. It's almost a verb in the sense that it's a method of internet communication. But there are so many branches to it now. I get asked about Facebook Live. It's like, do you have to broadcast to an audience? No, actually, you can just say, hey, Robert, I want to do Facebook Live with you. And I just say, I want to go and have you be on the other end of the Facebook Live. Or I want to have a certain group of people that I have on Facebook. I can, and now from a company point of view, I can have a company meeting on Facebook, and I don't have to worry about whether people have the platform because they have Facebook and they can participate. And so, but anyway, so there's a lot of variations to it. Snapchat 2, there is monetization opportunities with it from a business point of view. If you're not looking for direct conversion, if you're looking for market presence and joining a voice based on events or location, Snapchat, they have, I think I mentioned this, they have a geofencing tool to it. This was before the update even. I could go over and outline literally by city square, okay, or a building and say anybody that's in that area, when they Snapchat, they're allowed to use a frame that I've created, my brand frame or whatever, my hotel brand or whatever, so that as they're Snapchatting to somebody or sending a Snapchat to somebody, they could customize it with what I'm offering. And they can only get that frame and only use that frame while they're in that geofence. Picture that for events and clubs and things. So now people don't even have to add that to their dialogue. They just take the frame as an offer, and now people know that that was something unique. You could do it as a treasure hunt. Or geocaching, where they have to go and they get their picture in certain frames to show that they actually attained something. There's twists to this if you're a good marketer that can be used. So anyway, I want to throw it out to the tools that are entering into the space. The local optimization is not necessarily new tools, but it's something that needs to be a high focus, and then Snapchat is relatively new.
And expect Facebook to put in the frames and all that. Everybody's knocking off. It's all going to be It
is a
picked up by the.
It is a festive of people bogeying from each other what they can do for it. I'm going to put another link in. I'm going to try to put it into the other window and see if it'll pop up. And this is a part of our news section. For those, again, who are watching us or watching us from a recording, that we take 3 topics. Tools coming into market, which we just discussed. Why is it saying no? And all right, it doesn't like it, but I'll put the link in over here. And news, current news, the things that are going on. And then we do techniques. And I have a soapbox I want to stand on at the end. I've ended this tirade now about agency vetting. And this is another iteration of agency vetting that we'll get into techniques. Anyway, this link here is under the topic of fragmented performance dampens spring hotel outlook. It came from Travel Click as an article. And it's funny because very few people in the fourth quarter last year were downsizing, or not necessarily downsizing, downplaying first quarter productivity. Everybody it was raining gold, and it was going to be another banner year, and it was going to be another amazing time. Smith Travel, PKF, God, everybody was lauding.
SPR, it was
awesome. What I find interesting in this article, and for those that, obviously I just sprung the link in there and Robert's taking a peek at it now, but and there's some stats in it and so forth. But what I find very interesting is a review of hotel information, hotel results in top 25 markets. And I find it interesting that we're basing articles like this on only partial data.
Right.
Airbnb touted one of their best times ever this first quarter. Best times ever.
Right.
Wouldn't that data, if it was infused in with this data, then say what the actual travel experience to a destination? If you took those same 25 markets and added Airbnb data in, vacation data in, and put that with the hotel data, they might find that their business really did get as big as all these statistical houses said it would. Unfortunately, it just didn't go where they thought it was going to land, aka hotels.
Right.
Because these hotels are plateauing with. They're not catering to new business development. They're pandering to repeat business. They forecasted that
frequent guest focus, right?
Yep.
Book direct, everything targeted on frequent guests.
Yeah, and they're not looking for the expansion of new guests. New guests being millennials that are experience driven, not product driven, and those ones are looking at the diversity. I'll be honest with you. I'm going, with high tech. This year's in New Orleans, the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association's Revenue Optimization Conference, which I cannot say enough good about, is also it's piggybacked on the high tech, and I'll be there for that as well. I think you want to make it over?
Maybe. I'm going to be moving to Dallas at that time frame, and I might have to be in Europe to give a talk. So we'll have to see. But.
Well, that's always a good thing if you had to be in Europe for a talk. But I'm looking at Airbnb. I'm looking because the hotels that are in the group block for high tech know that they have a demand audience. There is another travel program that's in there right now. Same time frame or right at the piggybacked end or something. Anyway, there's a high demand for that week, and the rates reflect it. Airbnb is not as, and this it'd be a great topic to bring in to see the statistics on this. If there was a data you could pull from the Airbnb sites, effectively, is they're not as rate responsive to demand cycle as
They're getting there though, and they've now given the hosts some tools where they can revenue manage a little bit better. They're basically giving them here are recommendations, kind of the comparable properties, what's going on in the city. Just a little bit more visibility.
Right.
But
'Cause
I think they'll start getting down to competitive set. They'll start tracking the hotels, and actually on the hotel side, in terms of revenue management groups, I'm doing some work for a startup that these guys are doing some very interesting big data stuff, and they're pulling in Airbnb data to look at what's going on from a pricing perspective and demand perspective. And you have to. If you ignore it, it's at your own peril. It is a portion. It's interesting though, from this article and looking at kind of the partial data, and in terms of TravelClick, TravelClick is one of the few who does kind of forward-looking data, but it's a little, their data sources aren't quite as tight as, say, an STR, who's looking at historic data on a day-by-day basis from a large number of hotels, things like that. So they can get some kind of squirrely numbers. But the big thing that's happening is, yes, it's another record year for hotels, but the year-over-year comparisons are getting more difficult. So last year was very strong. So to sustain 5%, occupancy growth, it's not happening. It's getting down below 1%, and then some interesting things are happening on the ADR perspective. I think we mentioned on the situation with New York for the HSMAI Digital Marketing Conference. The rates were on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, and the room blocks, yes, they're $270 a night, but here are rooms. I think I stayed at the Row, which is a Highgate property, $79 a night plus a $25 or $29 resort fee. Right, there goes the resort fee again. But $100 a night for a hotel that's literally a block away from the venue. Is it as nice as a Marriott Marquis? No, but it's just fine. I mean, no problem.
One other asset to Airbnb that I don't think people realize from the Airbnb's point of view side to say, okay, pointing out, yes, I'm looking right now at Airbnb stuff, and Joe, Airbnb host in New Orleans, is selling their space for that week based on what they think it's worth. They think it's worth for that time of year based on what they're aware of. They don't know what conferences are coming in and out, who's doing what where, to know whether or not. And maybe some of them are smart enough to look at some of the local hotel rates to see if they're higher than normal. But then that means they have to do a little homework and track the revenue management of rate heights and lows and so forth. But the benefit to the Airbnb side is it is not an easy task. I can't walk in that same day that I'm arriving and see that a hotel dropped its pants and its rate and decide that I'm going to cancel my Airbnb because I've paid for Airbnb. Cancellation is not as one of those things where it's like same day cancellation or even 1 day cancellation or even 3 days. Some of these ones are you pay ahead and you're done.
Absolutely.
And then you have to petition why you have to cancel. And it can't be just because I found something better. It's have to be that you have to go to a family tragedy or something, So, if they got better.
And it may be host specific where they just say, no, I'm sorry. Right. That's it. I
turned down other people because I said yes to you. Right. And so I'm not going to go over and take.
But that's a compelling offer, and it's been a compelling offer. Prepay and save, right? Bundle and save, all those sorts of things that have driven packaging and wholesale business, things like that for years. And Airbnb does it you commit to it and go. And again, hotels, a lot of them now. Again, some of them are getting more instead of the hold till 6. It's now 24 hours in advance. They're getting a little bit more aggressive on it, but it's really a situation where they're training the customer into some bad habits of, book on booking.com. It's a free cancellation. It's very easy. And I do that. Sorry. Apologies, hoteliers. And it pains me because I'm conflicted, but I will go make a booking at booking.com just to hold the room and go, okay, that's a decent price. And then I'll go pound Priceline and Hotwire and all these. And you go, oh, well, there it is at $54 a night. Go throw something into TripBam to go get lower, see if prices are getting lowered. And not a pleasant scenario for the hotels. And I was telling somebody earlier this morning, all I look for is one stupid hotel revenue manager, hopefully in a 4-star hotel. That's all I need.
No, it's very true because if any hotelier thinks that what we're talking about is isolated, that we're just knowledgeable about the industry in some way and we know how to game the system, make no mistake that your entire audience of potential guests for the most part, know these things. If you're telling them that I can cancel within 24 hours or same day of, I'm going to book to make sure I hold the space until I find. And even then, Hotel Tonight doesn't exist because it doesn't have a demand. It exists because it does have a demand. People will see how desperate a hotel might be. And if I'm there and I have the means to say I don't have to be right next to what I'm coming there for as a conference or something, and I have transportation or whatever, then be it that. I went over and when I went to New York last, I went over and walked over to the conference. I wasn't in any of the block hotels, and took a train to make it to the airport in Newark from New York from Penn Station because it was $2.50, you know, and I wasn't going to take an $80 cab ride. So if you as you get smarter about these things, and I'm sure Uber could have done something if I really needed to time wise for that as well. So the audience is getting smart like that if they're not already smart, and they're realizing they're doing this. And Airbnb is now turning into that part of the conversation as well. So back to the article about. Go ahead.
And it's not just people who don't have money or spend. It's mostly people, even if they're spending their own dime. Yes, their behavior will change dramatically. Yes, they may stay at Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton, that sort of thing, when the company is paying. But all of a sudden, when they're spending their own money, I've had conversations with friends of mine. Actually, one guy, real estate developer and a cardiologist. They're going skiing, a particular destination, all-inclusive resort, great. One guy got a rate at $695 a night. The other guy was at $720 a night. The guy who's paying $695 could easily pay $750. It doesn't matter.
Well,
but he's a genius, and the guy who's paying $720 is now an idiot.
Yeah, well,
and it's a badge of honor.
It is.
I got a better deal than you. You're paying more than you have to.
It goes
and
back.
The amount is irrelevant.
Yeah, it goes back to the adage: why are rich people rich? Because they're smart to know when they don't have to spend money. And you know, the argument used to be about airlines. You know, you're sitting beside somebody who paid half your price for your ticket. Well, everyone knows that if you're a business traveler and you just got told you have to go to Poughkeepsie tomorrow, you're paying top dollar to get on any plane.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, you're sitting by somebody that planned 3 months ago or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and they're paying for a tenth of what you're paying because they were able to do that. And we do the same with our hotels. To sit back and say we're innocent and say, oh gosh, no. Our hotels yield based on vulnerability and need and demand. I mean, that's why there's a rack rate sitting on the back of a door so the government could say you can't totally exploit a person because there's a desperation point. Anyway, so article being that they're saying first quarter is similar, flat, and no real big standouts, I think is a little biased in the fact that they didn't add all these new data sources that they should on Airbnb and vacation travel or timeshare and whatever, but all the other types, and into it to show that the demand cycle could in fact be what they expected it to be for those 25 destinations, but they're only taking partial data.
Well, and look at the power that Airbnb has where they have that data and that information. And Airbnb is a big data organization. They do a lot of analysis. They're keeping track of all this, and they are scanning all this price. And again, they're building tools to help those, to help their hosts be better hosts. And again, Airbnb's interest is get the room rented, get it converted, sort of thing, and that's fine. And don't necessarily jack up the rates and optimize the ultimate price for the host, but to maximize the profitability for Airbnb. And that's exactly the same way the online travel agencies work. It's what is the most optimized revenue and profitability that they can earn. So
I have to apologize to our Facebook Live people. I was using the screen that I have the phone pointing to. Housekeeping again?
No, it's my wife. It's my wife. I'm on a video feed right here, being published. Just so she knows.
Hi, Mrs. Bull.
Lauren says hi. So.
All right. I did put another link into the lower corner, which is the other news piece I wanted to just touch on because it is the continuing saga of Ubang, Marriott, Starwood. But I thought it very interesting in this article list that it was about the golden parachutes that the executive team is getting rewarded with. Of course, it has to be voted on by the stockholders. And being a stockholder in several different businesses, I can tell you that not knowing whom they're talking about and they hide so much detail into the stock vote anyway, you can't tell what you're voting for to know that these guys are making – this dude, the CEO, for goodness sakes, talk about walking into the party just as they're handing out the bonus checks. He comes in at the end of last year and he walks away with $12 million.
That's right. Well, but the thing is, before this, earlier this month, his compensation was $6 million, right? And now he is getting $3 million in cash. He was getting $3 million in cash, but another $3 million in equity, taking him to $6 million. But now, what happens after this? They've actually popped his cash salary from 3.1 million to almost 4.3 million, and the equity side is almost certainly more than doubled, almost tripled.
And they're fully vested in 401, and they get full stock option rollout. I mean, these guys. I mean, they give the example of the 4 execs that they point out to it. It is staggering. So why in God's green earth would they go over and actually end up taking Marriott's offer when they get a full cash rollout? And the other interesting discussion in the article is about how Marriott may actually have very few levers left to counter Ubang. That as much as they can, they offered what they have. And the sad part is Marriott's stock is on this roller coaster right now.
Right.
It'll go up $2 and it'll go down $4. It'll go up $3. It'll go $1 down. And that is such a connection to the stock option portion of the offer for Starwood that Ubang's just sitting back and saying, look, big pile of cash, no fluctuation in stock, no nothing. Right. And it's more per dollar that we're offering than Marriott can come up with in its mixed combination offer. Yeah. So it's
well, and Anbang does have to commit that this is a real offer, and that they're going to. I think the big challenge for them is clearing some Chinese hurdles.
Yes,
which are their level of investment, how much cash they're moving out of the country. But again, I don't think Anbang winds up with the brands. They have no interest in running Starwood. They have no interest in keeping Starwood's management team or anything like that. They want to get this deal done. They want to get the real estate assets. And my theory is the brands flip to Xinjiang or something like that. There's some sort of relatively quick, transaction following that.
Well, I think given the world that they're probably infinitely smarter in than we are, it seems to make sense to me that if they did this, because they're trying to park their money before their money blows up and loses currency value. Right. So they're trying to buy hard assets, which these properties represent. Marriott wanted them only for the brand.
It's only 32 properties.
I know, isn't that amazing? And that's just amazing. But
that's it.
Given what they are, that I think it would be kind of smart to go over and go to Marriott and say, hey, look, here's the deal. If you walk away from the $400 million penalty for having Starwood close out, we'll buy the assets and you get the own management contracts.
Right. Yep. And that's what I thought. That is a complex deal.
Yes.
And that was my theory of maybe how this could happen and turn out. But complex deals are rough. You've got to get a lot of folks involved, and it just makes it harder. It makes it longer. And
there's a clock.
Right now, Starwood's sitting there going, keep the bidding going. This is good. The Starwood shareholders are going. This is okay.
Yeah, they're the one girl that showed up to the Army Navy dance.
Yeah, I'm looking at the. This is not a good situation. The Starwood marriage with Marriott makes a lot of sense. Not necessarily good for the Starwood executive team, who would all be gone and things like that. Which
below these poor guys and above anybody at property level is probably walking around going, "Wow, what's going to happen next?"
Yeah, exactly. So, and Marriott does want. I think Marriott has now figured out that they want this badly. But the question is, how do you put the deal together? And this could wind up being a good short-term play for the Starwood shareholders and a real long-term nightmare for the Starwood brands and everything else for how it turns out, because they still have to work through the rationalization of Sheraton and Westin, which are over 66% of their hotel portfolio are those brands, which are problems. All the new hot little brands are very small, and again, and the assets will be pulled out, right? So we'll see. Now, the one conspiracy theory that I love, though, is Anbang just did this deal with Strategic Hotels, which is owned by Blackstone, who is also a very large shareholder in Hilton, is that Starwood winds up, because of that relationship, Anbang gets the hotels and the brands flip over to Hilton.
Yeah, I was going to say, then Hilton all of a sudden is walking around going, fooled you.
Exactly. So who the heck knows, but it's going to be, The one thing for certain, this is going to wind up being a great case study for business schools and hotel schools
Oh,
on
it's going to be
structuring
discussed.
deals and how this happened, and then over time, what really happens to these to
What
these
happened
brands.
after, from what we saw versus what actually happened in the back when it finally happened.
Because Starwood doesn't survive on its own. It just basically it's not happening. And similar to Fairmont being picked up by Accor, Omni. I don't know. A lot of the groups that are that size are just going to be prime pickings because, again, you look at a hotel group announce one of their new lifestyle brands. Well, they're just getting one or two right now. The soft brands are picking off independents, but their true kind of core lifestyle brands really slow to develop. Or I can go buy 90 hotels from here or 100 unit chain, and much easier to do. But as Marriott figured out, maybe not quite as easy as they thought.
Yeah, they thought they were the only game in town until somebody comes riding over the horizon from China and says, "Oh no, we'll give you straight cash. You don't have to mess with these people."
We're gonna have no interest in the brands, just completely in the real estate value of 32 out of 1,200 hotels.
Yeah. I think I'm going to add to the list of possible topics in the future is this brand diversification that everybody's doing. I mean, every day there's a new brand being rolled out or two brands being rolled out by every major brand. I actually think that they're trying to be counterproductive by making so many brands, they turn into individual entities that people are not understanding that when they stay at.
Oh, they don't. They have no idea.
That it's in Marriott over there or something. And I don't know whether that's their long-term strategy, saying brand value is gone to the consumer. And so now we just have to give product quality, but we need to have a brand umbrella. Who knows?
There are three. Well, and we can do it on others. There are three factors. One is the legacy brands are losing relevance rapidly because they need to be upgraded. They aren't modern. They don't have great. I mean,
are we talking about Holiday Inn? No, let's just talk about Holiday Inn for a moment.
It doesn't matter. We're talking Sheratons. We're talking Westons. We're talking Marriotts. All those sorts of things. That's a problem from a product perspective, and the upgrade of that is very expensive. The hotel companies don't control those assets, so it's somebody else's money who has to do that, and that's something nobody wants to deal with. That's a very ugly situation. The other one is room density in key markets. Mm-hmm. So when you buy these things, so Marriott would wind up with over 100 hotels in Manhattan proper.
Yep.
And you look at that footprint and you go, oh my God, they've got 30 brands. Look at this saturation of the market, but they can get around all the franchise deals right now, even though you wind up with, here's the Ritz-Carlton, here's the St. Regis, here's the Bulgari. And you're like, whoa, this is getting these guys.
The hotel ownership groups are getting very smart too, where they're like, you know what? Forget you guys. You gave me this exclusive Courtyard deal. And then now I got all these at Fairfield, Spring Hills, everything that are so close to the same brand. I got brand saturation. I got brand density. I don't have exclusivity. You said I'd be the only type at this tier, and in fact, I'm one of several because you bleed it out instead of one flavor, it's another flavor. So now people are wondering why there are so many hotel ownership groups that are deflagging hotels. They're like, hey, you know what? With digital marketing, I can balance this out. I can do these things without a brand bringing it to them.
Yeah, they're deflagging, but now they're affiliating with soft brands, which are cheaper.
Yeah.
Right. So they're becoming a Curio or an Autograph or something like that. And those are booming.
Yep.
Right. So, they get the reservation system. They get the loyal or the frequency program. Code. I do not call them loyalty. They are not loyalty programs.
No, there's no existing good loyalty program. That's all another topic to it.
But again, it's bigger is better. And what's your distribution network? How many people can you produce in? And again, the OTAs wind up, or the hotel groups are becoming OTAs.
Yeah.
That's basically it. So.
Well, to keep you on vacation schedule, I'm going to push us to the last, which is technique. And I know that you can sound in on this as well. I put a link together with Mr. Slimy down there.
One of my favorite topics. Yes.
10 tips for avoiding shady SEO providers. Now, the cool part of this is that the article is very good, although simplistic. It is very good. about pointing out certain things. And this goes to a conversation that I've kept alive for us in this section of our conversation for the past 3 weeks. And that is that the over-reliance of companies on agencies as being the de facto authority on all things and taking at face value whatever is being fed to them from those same set agencies, not knowing that it's being tailored to the capacity or capability or quality that the agency can provide. Right. And these items, I'm pulling up a screen that I can not take away from the Facebook list that I have in front of me. It's going to be okay, Snapchat. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the link for us on another screen. I'm just going to have to go to another screen to go over and put that in there. Some of the easy stuff, like monthly reporting. What is the monthly reporting looking like? Do you have access to your Google Analytics? And if so, if one of the points it made in the article was, if you are not given access to your own Google Analytics or to a Google Analytics account, if that's what they're using, run away from that agency, because they're trying to hide something by not being able to share with you the ability to go look at what it is your website is doing based on the analytics. Here, I'm pulling up the article so I don't keep randomizing my conversation. Some of them is the terminologies that they use. There we go. Low quality or duplicate content. How they go over. I don't want to go and read the article just out loud, but these points to be made that how they approach what SEO is, whether they make you choose what you want SEO to do for you. That's bullshit. Excuse French. Because it's not about you going to a grocery store and picking certain things to make something. SEO is a completely comprehensive strategy, and there should be the experts that say, based on what we see you already have, this is what you need to do, and we're going to be doing the following things.
Well, and a huge aspect which the article doesn't cover, because as you said, is kind of superficial, is the site architecture. I mean, what does the sitemap look like? What is the logic of the sitemap? How does it tie into your menuing? How does it tie into your breadcrumbs? All of that stuff is outrageously important. I have a former client who, oh my God, it's been tragic with what's happened. Their website traffic is down, and we built this from maybe 25,000 unique visitors a day or unique visitors a month to 1.3 million a year, right? I mean, it's just huge with zero spend in terms of SEM, right? I mean, just pure structural and content approach. It was fantastic. They stopped doing it. They brought in somebody else. This kind of financial transaction kind of happened. Their traffic is down 50%. They're about to launch next week, and it's going to be a disaster. I've seen their new site layout. They got a new WordPress template, and they aren't going to do redirects. It's going to be a disaster. This new group has basically killed the website.
Well, that's other things. Just on a smaller scale of things, and I'm helping a friend of mine as they're just trying to discover somebody to make their new websites. As you point out, I can make websites. He's like, well, make my website. It's like, there are thousands and thousands of people better at making websites than I am. I'm knowledgeable enough to know what needs to be done to make a good website, but there are people that can make actually the website better than me. But things like, they say, oh, I'm going to make a custom website for you. And you find out, and I did this to a hotel. The hotel paid $15,000 for a custom website that I found on a $55 template website.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, you took a $55 template and just customized the content for them and then charged them $15,000.
And some of the large hospitality digital marketing agencies, that's all they're doing is they're generating. They're generating out templates. It might be a custom, and maybe they client at the beginning where they did a little work for it and figured out, they templatized it, and they're just churning it out.
For a fact, and they made it. They make the agencies make a template that they know is a good functional template, and nothing against the construction of the template. And unfortunately, the first person that got the template probably paid the construction fee, and then they go and take it and sell it to other business. Okay, that's not competing with the first one, so all agency credibility is still sitting there. But they sell the template to another place and customize it for them and charge either the same or slightly less, even though they've already made their cost on the development of it, because that's how they recoup the cost factor associated with creating it, which goes to another thing. One of the points that I might disagree a little bit with this article is item 7. They said cheap SEO. If you're paying less than $1,000 a month for SEO, that's another bad sign. I disagree with it to a point. Because depending upon your scale of business, you may not have to pay much. Because their other item, number 8, says setup fees for SEO. You should never pay them. That's like resort fees. The company's trying to charge you for their upfront cost and still charge you on the back end for its maintenance. Because to the reverse of that statement, any company that's charging you a monthly SEO fee, you should ask them, what did I get this month for this fee that you did other than cashing a check? Because unless they actually did something, and this, never let them say, well, we made a blog. That's the most bullshit SEO excuse in the world. Blogs are mainstays, they're content generations, but they're not a solution to the process, they're a contribution. So for them to say, well, we put this blog in, that's our, and it costs for us to do that. Well, I'm not going to pay you. That's not SEO, okay? And the amount of report making and how many people are on the call for the report. And what is the report actually telling you? Static information that you can use or act? Because anything historical, you're looking at going, okay, so my natural traffic's up, but my direct channel conversions are down. Yep. Right. Well, okay, so that's what the report says. What are you doing about it? Well, it's our report. You're supposed to do something about it. I'm not doing something about it. What this is telling me is my website is getting enough attention for whatever we're paying advertising or whatever, or being naturally found, but whatever function is, back to your wireframing, it's not converting. Right. It's not generating what's supposed to generate.
The good SEO guys, and again, when you start saying, it's too cheap, it needs to tie into the tagging, everything where the analytics work. You can start looking at events and really understanding what is the user experience for these various groups of people, be it different demographics, different platforms, mobile versus desktop. All of that stuff is critically important and very important to understand. Otherwise, yes, you get taken to the cleaners if someone just, you're paying them a kind of a retainer for, maybe some stuff that they did at the beginning, right? Yep. They wrote we do one blog post a month or two a week. It doesn't really matter.
Your meta tags and reviewed your H1s, and they'll do all this gibberish stuff. But it's like, so you look at it, it's like, wait a minute. So you changed actual content on pages, and when you did that, did you get the before and after snapshot to show why you did it, and then what happened after you did it, or you're just doing it as a checkbox to saying these are the things, because they try to dazzle you with bullshit terminology, knowing that most of the times on the receiving end, you don't know what an H1 is. You don't know what a meta tag is. You don't know whether or not you can have 25 words in a meta tag or you can have 30 words in a meta tag. And if so, what are they? And should they be in context? And whether or not, how were they chosen? How did you choose the keywords for your meta tags? And show me these are questions. And we had the conversation a couple of blabs back about some things to ask to make sure your SEO agency, whoever's handling your SEO, is on their game, that you're being smarter about what they do for you. But there's a whole side, and I think it's a worthy article that maybe you and I can delve into and make, and that is the bullshit about social services.
Right.
And what's being done. I see, and it's hilarious, I see these things where they're saying, well, we're paying $250 for this person to our social. And they think it's being done. I said, well, what are they doing for social? And they're posting.
They're managing it. Yeah, they're handling it. They're posting stuff.
Yeah, and all they're doing is setting up a Hootsuite account with some automated post planner pull-in data that automates and posts at the time. Well, they do our Facebook post. And I go look at the Facebook post. And it's like, so what does this post do for you? Well, it keeps us up in front. Well, what's the engagement? Give me access to your Facebook, and I'll go over and see what your engagement is. There's no engagement. There's no nothing. It's like, so what is it for? What are you doing this for? Well, we're paying them $250, or them pay $250 to do nothing. Where's the reporting in it? Where do you show what you're doing for what you're doing? So I think it's worthy to come up with an article, because I haven't seen an article yet on the bogusness of social services for people. They don't know. They don't sit and talk to them about strategy. And when I talk to some of my clients, where it's like, so what's the strategy that you've had with them? What do you mean? Well, we talked to them about their scheduling. They're going to be posting for us on Facebook. They're going to be tweeting for us. Well, what happens if something happens at your hotel? What do you mean? Well, how do you get that over there? Well, we send that information. So if something really cool happened, you got to wait for them to get back with you, when they're going to schedule it, when it's going to get what's it going to do for you? See, I'm on a soapbox already. I'm already on a soapbox, but we're doing the SEO.
Well, and then the other side of it is, the other slimy guys who are really good at what they do and they produce results in their black hat SEOs.
Yeah.
Watch out for them too.
Yeah, because you're the one that gets screwed. Yeah, when your website gets pulled down and yanked.
Yeah, what are they going to do? They are going to manage your reviews and pump up a whole ton of fake review optimization and review spam. And unfortunately, guess what? It works, which is really not a good thing. But all of a sudden, yes, here your rankings are going up, and here we go. And it still can happen in SEO if people do it. The quote, I don't want to call it the right way because it's the wrong way, but the effective way can be done. So yeah, you want to make sure that they aren't doing that. And sometimes that's hard to suss out as well. And you get a lot of people in the middle who they aren't doing anything for you. They're just kind of sitting there, cashing your check is their kind of big activity of the month.
Yeah, that's all. And you're one of many, and they don't care what happens to you because of it. And
because the real stuff is hard. It's a long tail. To rank high for New York hotel, against Expedia and Marriott and Hilton and those. Good luck. That's not going to happen. But if it's luxury Upper East Side boutique hotel, yes, you may be able to. And yes, Expedia will be there and TripAdvisor and some of those guys. But you might too. And again, how do you get that? How do you get that positioning for something where it really is relevant to either your destination, your property type, the purpose? And I really think the purpose of somebody's trip. If you're going to the State Fair of Texas or something like that, State Fair of Texas hotel type thing. Yeah, you can probably rank on that term. And again, it's only going to be good for whatever it is, 3 weeks or a month. But again, if you have something, you're providing transportation back and forth. That's a great thing. You have a little package for it. You throw in tickets. Who knows? You can go do something, and yes, you can rank on that and really do something which ties in with your blog post and your landing page and and your content. But that's what your search. That's what delivers search engine optimization is good, relevant content, which is structured properly, which you can access and engage with, which is meaningful to these travelers.
Yep.
And that's not the easiest thing in the world. So.
No, you're right. I'm not going to take any more of your vacation time. Thank you for reminding me that you were on vacation, and thanks for taking the effort out for it. I know that when you were talking about that Ed was heading down to the west coast of Florida because that was our conversation last week. Right. So that's probably why we don't see him this week for it. Tim, I guess, is still either just back from Vietnam or recuperated from Vietnam. So we missed our two cohorts in
on a plane. A plane.
So I'll let you get back because your wife has been more than patient with us about letting you rant and rave with your little screen. And we'll do it again next week. I hope you have I think you have a couple more days in Las Vegas?
Through Sunday. Oh. Yeah. So, and actually, my wife is getting left again to her own devices because I'm headed out to lunch with a friend from college.
The thing about with Vegas, there's enough distractions. Have you gone to many shows?
We went and saw Penn and Teller.
Awesome.
Saw that. And went to Anthony Cools, who does a very good, not necessarily safe for work, hypnosis show, which is very, very funny.
Excellent. Excellent.
And of course, since we were talking about saving money on things, Ticks for Tonight, you can't beat it. Half price ticket, 30% off, 40% off, 50% off, and more on these shows. They got booths all over Vegas, and and it's interesting. They've got their little analytics which they expose, and you can see they have their little speedometer type thing. It'll say tickets to love 75 to 100% of the time. And again, it's only 30% off, and so it's $96 instead of $130. But you can get seats and save money, right?
Well, going back,
why not? Why not?
Yep. Going back to the fact that I'm an ardent fan of what Apple TV will become and so forth. The new iterations are that Apple Pay is being integrated now into the new iOS for Apple TV, and that is being connected to the phone for the pay functions of it because it's already in retail. They're going to be moving it over to hospitality. There's an article that I didn't share this blab, but maybe we'll bring it for next topic. about how that's getting moved in. So nobody wants to miss those opportunities, and not everyone is as intelligent as to knowing how to find them when they're going to market. So the easier you can put these in front of people to realize this is where you buy your tickets, this is where you get your car rental, this is where you get your hotel reservations, this is where you get your flights, and you can show that it's the best opportunity for them, they're going to do it. So
I'm a Best Buy whatever premium member, VIP, whatever it is. I buy
way too many
appliances and
more
stuff
than your wife wants you to buy there.
yeah, exactly. So I've got but with Google Now and the little Google Now cards, I walk this, and it'll just have like a little Best Buy kiosk. Boom, geofenced in. Use your thing, pops up, has your little encoded frequency card number.
Yep.
Walking around. I'm a member of MLife for MGM. I'm a member of Caesars Total Rewards. I belong to. I've got 35 memberships. None of them all pop. Every once in a while, an airline one, a Delta one will pop up, or United or something like that. Maybe.
Amazing.
But maybe at a hub. But the hotels, nothing. And you're just sitting there going, "Oh, come on, guys!
Really,
you can do better. You can do better. You can do better than this."
Yeah.
Because it's like use your card here, and now once you have that conversation, it's like, hey, do you want with casinos, do you want this? But hey, come in free dessert with actually, we went to I'll tell you one quick story. Great things still in Vegas are the really good, high quality old school service things. Not necessarily the mega resorts, but the little place, little Italian restaurant. Can't say enough about Casa d'Amore. What do they do? Old school. It's off the strip, right? But they'll send a limo for free to you to pick you up, and you tip the driver, sort of thing. So you can drive in, and it's great. If you buy a cannoli for dessert, they give you a T-shirt, sort of thing. And the cannoli, and yes, it's an $8 cannoli. But I mean, but
they were
fantastic.
Yeah,
right. The waiter, my daughter was on her phone. He took it away from her, gave it to another guy, told the security guys if she does it, just really fun. And then took her phone, took pictures of all the pictures of Frank Sinatra and everything. Going, no, you need to have these around. Really good, great food, terrific food, right? Great Italian food. So the product itself was fantastic, but the personalization, the convenience, knocked it out of the park. Last night we went to the Oyster Bar at Palace Station, again off the strip, right in the middle of the casino near the penny 24-hour oyster bar. Wow. Right, and they've got the cooks right there. It's quote open kitchen. It has 18 seats. It has a line always, sort of thing. But it's a great place. And is it super cheap? No, but it's good. It's a great little oyster bar. And it's fantastic. And again, the waiters, everybody talking to you, the chef right there. How do you like this? You want some more? This, that, and
it goes back to hospitality being hospitality, as always. We always
absolutely, yep. And those are the things that make the difference on the stay, as opposed to the freaking $33 resort fee, which pisses me off. Or one more Vegas rant, which actually MGM Resorts did refer back to Twitter because I tweeted about it. I love the Mirage. Have always loved the Mirage. Steve Wynn changed the strip by building that property. And they had a Carnegie Deli in there. And I love the Carnegie Deli, right? When I lived in New York. What did they do? They have a food and beverage director who needs to be dragged out and flogged or shot, whatever. Get rid of the guy. They changed the Carnegie Deli in the Mirage to counter service instead of
sit down.
And you're sitting there going, what? Yeah, the number of people, we saw 2 couples come up and go, oh, and leave. Yeah. Right? Just for the new dill pickles on the table. No, they don't do any of that stuff anymore. I wanted hard salami. They don't have it on the menu. And you're sitting there going, you have destroyed
that's not Carnegie
Deli brand.
You just took their name and that's it.
You just killed it. Yeah, just horrible. So.
We have to. One thing we have to do, wrap up always with that HSMAI is that other than high tech, which is not HSMAI, but it's a great industry conference, which is in New Orleans coming in June 21st, 22nd. Also, more importantly, HSMAI's Revenue Optimization Conference. I know from being a participant in helping with some of the agenda items and speaker lists and so forth, it's going to be very front edge when it comes to revenue management's progression as to using data and discussing new methodologies and so forth. I still think they have a blind eye to non-hotel data, but that's just my personal axe to grind with them.
I need to actually get some guys on the program for that. I need to.
Well, they still
I
have
need to do
spaces
some
for the
work on-
2020. They got a couple
Yeah.
more 2020 spots. So if you have somebody that might can punch I hate doing those presentations. I was thinking about wanting to do one because then I
Yeah.
wouldn't have to pay to go.
Oh,
Because if you get selected, then you don't have to. That's the gratis. of
that's
being-
right. Yeah.
But doing those Pikachuka 6-minute automated slide things, oh my God, that's 10 times more work than just putting a deck together off the top. But anyway, I want to make sure that we mentioned the Rock Conference. It is coming in June. Rooms are booking out of the block. I know because I'm looking at them right now, and I'm looking for Airbnb at the same time. But it should be a great combination between high tech. There's some great content that gets shown there. It's always great to see the technology anyway. For those who don't know what high tech is, it's the Hospitality Industry Technology and Innovations Conference, I think is what it's called. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
education conference.
Yeah, some sort of something like that. But it's big. It was 6,000 people probably.
Yeah,
A
it's
lot
usually
of
about 6,000 that coming through, and they got a lot. They got a lot of sidebar stuff to it too. So anyway, want to make sure we mentioned that for that. Mr. Robert, please enjoy the rest of your vacation. Please apologize to your wife for taking time out of it, but I do appreciate that you made the effort for it, and a wonderful backdrop with a lovely hotel room.
not so much actually. Kind of
It's
Look at
functional. It's functional, and I look forward to
you go see the carpet. Not the most modern.
Oh, come on, that's a pattern that's been around for a while. Think of it as
It has. Yes, it is. It's a classic.
That's right. All things come back in fashion, so you're just waiting for it to roll back around, and it's been around so long, it's probably about there anyway. So
exactly.
I look forward to next week. Thank you. I hope you can make it next week as well. And until then,
be around.
I think we're great. And Mr. Cole, enjoy the rest of Vegas trip. And
Thanks,
we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Bye. Bye.